Okay, good morning all. I'm sitting here today online with John Stacy from Pretorian Products, and we're just going to do an overview of different devices that are available to you through his company and consequently may become available to you through Missouri Assistive Technology. So John, here you go, and welcome to Missouri Assistive Technology.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Laura. My name's John, as Laura said. I'm the sales and marketing manager for Pretorian Technologies. And we're based in the UK, as you can probably tell from my accent. We manufacture and distribute all around the world, and you're probably going to be familiar with maybe some of our products across the range. We do everything from the assistive technology kind of standards of access devices and pointing devices and things like that. But we also do environmental controls. Kind of our Simply Works range is to try and connect all different digital devices in a very simplistic way. But we also do gaming devices and AAC devices as well. So I'm going to show you a very small amount of our products today, but I guess the point I'm trying to make with the intro is to say that do have a look on our website. There's lots of different things on there, and everything that you can, pretty much everything you see on our website is available to the US via our distribution partners. So any questions on that, by all means, sort of ask away at any point, and we'll happily redirect you if needs be. So yeah, I'm here today to talk to you about iPad access devices. So showing you, again, a very small range of our iPad devices, because actually quite a lot of our devices are accessible by iPad. So the first thing I'm going to show you actually is a shared screen. So I'm going to show you a website, first of all, just to sort of take the emphasis off my face temporarily as well. So this is a part of our website. So Pretorian Technologies at top left there to show you where we are. And essentially what you do is you click on mouse alternatives. You don't go into the submenu, just click there and you come to this page. And the reason I'm showing you this page is because of this handy table. So what I'm going to go through today is a couple of our joystick trackball variants that we have that are accessible to iPad. But the reason I'm showing you this handy table is twofold. One, firstly, all of these devices on this table are iPad accessible. They're also, majority of them are PC, Mac, Google Chrome, Android tablet as well. But so some are more suited than others to iPad. Some are wireless, some are not. Things like that might be sort of nuances that you might be looking for. And this handy table shows you, this is the second thing, every single feature of every single product. So you'll see all these ticks, you'll see the numbers, you'll be able to have a look at what kind of functionality each one has, and kind of all the different little unique elements of each product. And if you want to see more of the product, because you like the look of the amount of ticks, you just simply click on any of the bars across the top here, and it will take you to their product page. So I'll show you an example. I'll click on Blueline. That'll take you to the product page. We've got some product videos, and we've got lots more information on there as well. That's all I'll show you for now, and that's really just to show you an in-depth look at our website with regards to gaining a quick bit of more information. So that grid, we really sort of champion that grid. It's a really useful bit of information, especially because quite a lot of our products do look quite similar. We try to differentiate them, but then we also try and keep them the same because they work with regards to the design. So yeah, that's just the first thing I want to show you. Next, I'm going to spin the camera around and show you some actual products rather than my face. So there's my desk. Hopefully everybody can see okay with the camera that's up there. And I've got an iPad in front of me and a couple of different options. So I said I won't be able to show you everything today. You don't want to hear me drone on and on and on about every single product anyway. But I've got a couple of joysticks here that I'll talk through and maybe show one in action. And then I've got some switch access devices here, again, which I'll show maybe in action, but also just differentiate the difference between them and give you a bit more information. So we'll start right on the right-hand side here. And I just want to show you this rather than actually show it in action. This is the Orbitrack. And the reason I wanted to show you this is, apart from joysticks and your traditional trackballs, there's often a lot of need for track pads or something similar to track pads where there's no ball, no joystick for those that have really, really limited control of their hand movements. The Orbitrack is probably one of our first flagship products that came out a long time ago, and actually just developed as we went with feedback from users. It has a rest in the middle here, which differentiates it differently from other trackpads. So this rest allows you to change direction but stop. And this is coming from feedback where trackpads in the past, you get your finger stuck at a certain point and the cursor keeps moving across the screen. This allows you, the user, to move back or move away at any point, and the movement will stop. Orbitrack also has a little function that we put into this and a couple of other products called Smart Track, where it recognizes the speed in which you use your finger and adapts the speed of the cursor movement so you don't get frustrated with a consistent speed. So the way that sort of looks, I guess, is that, say for example, you're moving to the right hand side there, the 3 o'clock sort of position, and you continually want to change direction and stay in this gray area. It will speed up as you do so and continually move around the screen sort of in that direction as I was moving there. However, if you change direction, if you want to change direction really quickly because you want to hone in on something, coming off it like that to the rest and then going back to the left to sort of change your directions again, it will slow right down as though you're waiting, as though you're trying to hone in on that specific thing you're getting to, rather than staying at this consistent speed that we showed you before where it flies around the screen. So Smart Track allows you to really operate this in a much more smarter manner. Away from the Orbitrack, we have a slimmer version called Slimline, and we have JPad as well, which is a small mouse that replicates switch access. So there's a couple of other non-joystick, non-trackball variants that we have there. Anyway, I'll move away from Orbitrack now. Actually, before I do so, just a quick note. Obviously, we've got left click, right click, double click, and drag lock. They're your main features, really. But there isn't much more functionality other than you can add switches to these. So you can have switches that adapt to the buttons that you'd like to select. So if you need more switches, because these are flat buttons here, you can use them at the top there with 3.5mm jack ports there. Right, so that's Orbitrack. Now we've got 3 here that look very similar, and this is where I refer back to that grid that I showed you, just in case you get confused with the look of some of our products. We have the Blueline, which I briefly showed you on the screen, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail sooner. But these 2 I wanted to show you first of all. So this is the Optima. You might be familiar with the Optima. It's one of our more popular mouse or joystick variants. So it comes in a trackball variant as well. So I've got the joystick here. We've got the softball and the T-bar as well, which you just pop the top off and you can replace it with the softball or T-bar. They come standard with all of our joysticks, the ball and T-bar. And the Optima is one of our more popular joysticks, mainly because of how simple it is. So it's a plug and play, it's a USB. You can obviously use that with your iPad, and I've got one of our what we call camera adapters here. It's a standard camera adapter, and that's why we refer it to that, but it's simply USB to Lightning. So plug and play, in you go, and you're away. The Optima is, again, more popular than the others, perhaps because of how simple it is with the lack of confusing functionality. It's got left click, right click, and drag lock. They're recessed buttons, so they're unlikely to break. And beyond that, there isn't much more you need to know, other than you do have the 3.5mm jacks either side, again, to replicate the buttons with switches. Easy, simple, really nice to get to know, and easy to get using it and get going. So it does sell a lot. And we do recommend the Optima for a lot, for those that just want simplicity of use, plug it in and go and use it across different devices. But the other one I wanted to show you that's kind of moving on from Optima, this is our newest joystick. This is Jazz. The name is quite a strange name. We understand that people might refer to a saxophone or something when you're thinking of jazz music. It's not anything that plays music, first of all, but what it is and why it's called the Jazz is we wanted to build a joystick that had a lot more kind of rigorous movement for those that have real lack of fine motor skill control, so need a lot of aggression on a stick to get it to move, because you don't have that finer control. And we almost came up with a joystick which was a joystick as a switch. So we decided to sort of play around with that a little bit and add it as a function to the Jazz. But the Jazz actually itself is a normal joystick pointing device, as the others will operate as well. However, the difference between the Jazz and the others is you need a lot more effort to get moving. So it's for those that really do need to have that large amount of effort to get moving. They want the cursor to move very slowly. Smart Track is again implemented, so it'll hone in on things you need, for example. And beyond that, you do have a limited directional function too. So you can have it in 4 or 8 point movement. So it can just be up, down, left, or right. So it doesn't matter where you move the joystick, it will only move in the nearest direction, or you can add the diagonals in as well. The final sort of thing with Jazz is it has a kind of resistance point. So for example, if you were just to lightly move the joystick like this, it wouldn't move at all. You need to fully move the joystick in one direction and hold that direction to get it moving. So it really is for those that need to grab hold of it and move it with lots of aggression. And as such, it's very robust and won't be breaking around that. So in total contrast to the Optima, which we suggest, although it does have cursor speeds that you can adapt, we suggest this is for quite a lot of different users. You know, quite a range of people would need this or be able to use it and get on with it. The Jazz is for those that have really small amounts of that fine motor skill movement and would really need to grab onto it and use it. And we found that not many devices out there allow a very good service for those kind of people that need that. So they really do struggle and get frustrated with that. So we really helped wanted to design that in that. And then the switch scanning side of it, we wanted to add that into the Jazz. So there's a function within the Jazz where you can change it from a mouse to switch scanner. So if you use AAC devices such as Grid 3 or Tobii and things like that, you plug this into that instead of your iPad or PC. You plug a switch into the right hand side and press the switch once, or hold down the opposite buttons for 12 seconds and it will turn to switch scanning mode. And then within switch scanning mode, once it's quickly set up within the software, you might need to sort of add it as a device or something. You're away, you can move it around the switch patterns on your grid and use the buttons as though it's on your switch set, your AAC grid pattern there. So it is also mountable and usable for that kind of device too. Now I'll move on to Blueline and I'll show you it in action, because the best way to sort of demonstrate Blueline is to show it in action. So I'll pair it up to my iPad just to show you how easy it is. So I press the button to wake it up. You've got the red light flashing there. Blueline, before I get started, essentially Blueline is the Swiss Army knife of our range. It does absolutely everything you need to. It's got the 3 buttons and 2 ports as normal, but they're completely adaptable to whatever function you'd require. Doesn't matter whether you'd want right click to be the middle button or whether you'd want the left switch port to be drag lock, whatever you want, you can adapt it within there. It's completely wireless, it's Bluetooth, hence the name Blueline. So you don't need any sort of connectors, unless you need a dongle for some reason. Any device that has built-in Bluetooth or a dongle, it will connect to. And it's very, very quick to get going, either in the Bluetooth menu or in the assistive touch menu. It will join up straight away, and I'll show you that now. I'm not going to talk you through it because it is a bit sort of laborious to do so, but what I will do is just get it straight involved with regards to connecting it up and showing you how easy it is to use. So there we go, pairing it now already. It takes a few seconds to pair. There we go. Good old Bluetooth taking a little bit of time there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and have a check on the size of the pointer and stuff so that you can really see what we're doing. Oh, it's already big. There we go. So hopefully you can see there on screen. Let me just turn it slightly so you can see it a bit better, although the lighting's terrible here with the window behind me, apologies. But yeah, you can see the big sort of mouse cursor there that I've made really big just to show you how easy it is to get going. So that was a matter of seconds, probably about 10 or 15 seconds, and I'm away with the default buttons. So, you know, if I wanted to go into an app there, I could just click on that one there and we're away. It's just downloading the app because it seems to have kicked it off, but it's as simple as that. You know, press the button and you're away. So that's Blueline, very simple to get going. Good range with Bluetooth as well. So absolutely nothing to sort of concern yourself with worrying about having to be far away or having to be close together. Very good range within it. So I'll unpair that quickly because now I want to move on to the switches. So assistive touch, turn it off and unpair. Okay, so now we'll move on to these. So what we have here is our applicator and iSwitch. You might be aware of the applicator. A lot of people, it used to be a grey version, and this is Applicator 2, I guess, if you want to call it that. And a lot of people refer to this as the Pretorian, because I think it's probably our most well-known product. So we get a lot of questions, oh, have you got any Pretorians? And it's kind of like, well, yeah, we do. We have a lot of Pretorians, but this is the Pretorian Applicator, and that's absolutely fine. We get that, you know, a product that's very well known might take on a name of the company that's built it in, especially when it's written on the bottom there. But essentially, what Applicator and iSwitch are replicating each other. They're the same device, but they just have different, slightly different purposes. So Applicator and iSwitch are switch access devices for iPads, Android, and PC or Chromebook. The reason we talk about these as iPad devices is because you get slightly more functionality out of an iPad than you would if it was any other device. That's all. Apart from that, please do remember that these are usable across all devices. So the difference between the two is as simple as this. You plug in your wired switches to the top. You've got 4 ports there, and you can go away and mess around with all the different things you want them to do. And what we recommend always really is this is good for assessments. This is good for person assessment. If you want to assess whether or not they'd need a pack like this, go in with your Pretorian Applicator, crack on with an assessment, and then decide whether or not they could use an iSwitch or this, because the physical laying out of this is where it differs. So Applicator, we often say, pop it into the back of a wheelchair in a slot if they're in a wheelchair, and then your wires can be lifted into whatever position you need, perhaps a head position or a shoulder or an arm or whatever, and the applicator can stay out of the way. Just stay completely out of the way, no need to press any buttons and what have you. You can set it up as you go and then leave it. What you need an iSwitch for, again, it can be used on a wheelchair, but the iSwitch is designed with this sort of curvature here in the bottom so that you could actually lay it on a table nicely. So if you actually want to use it on a table or on an arm of a wheelchair, it is mountable as well. That is the other way that you'd need to use the other option there. So you don't have to use a pack, you can use the iSwitch. The only other difference is you've got 4 ports in this, and you've got 1 switch built in and 2 at the top. So it's 4 versus 3. Apart from that, they do all the same functions. So on the back of both devices, you've got the quick help guides. Again, you can sort of see that with the light, but you've got quick help guides of what modes do what channels, you know, whatever channel you selected, you can change your mode quite easily. And honestly, the best way to describe how this functions with regards to switch access on iPad or any other device, it's up to you. It's up to you. It's pointless me telling you that you should do this, you should do that. There are easier methods of how you can use the basics for sure, but it's entirely up to you and how you would want to do so. The final things I want to go through with these are the kind of niche little parts that you get within this. So they're not just your standard switch access devices where you plug it in, you set it up and you go. We have a few little added extras that we like to really show off really. So both devices, they both have a power down button here. So you can sort of see the standby button there above the mode button. And that is because on feedback, we were being told a lot of people were putting this away in a bag after assessing someone or something like that, and it was dying because the buttons were all being pressed, so the battery was dying. So now we've added a little standby mode. You can put it straight into standby mode yourself. It does go into standby mode itself, you know, after 2 minutes or something, but if you just wanted to, if you finished with an assessment or you finished using it and you hold that button down, it goes off. Then you've got this one here, which refreshes the system. So you've got like a refresher item there, and that's another bit from feedback. We wanted somebody, you know, you're assessing somebody, you don't want to go away and use whatever you've set up in the memory to go and use it again with the next person. Hold that down and go again from default. And then you've got the quick media option, which is this music icon at the bottom. Hold down this button here and you get the quick media function. So the quick media function changes whatever mode you've set any of these up to quick media functionality, such as play, pause, skip forward, skip back, timed play, that kind of thing. That's all in your instruction manual. It shows you exactly how to do it. But what that's good for is perhaps if you're setting up a reward recognition kind of situation where you'll be playing around with whatever whatever game you're in the iPad, you've got some music or your podcast app or something like that running in the background. It's not running at the moment. You could quickly just hold that button down, and then the person using the switch one would just press play and press pause at any time. So it's just a really quick access to the media function there. And that's also usable within YouTube too. And then just pressing that button rather than holding it down is actually the keyboard button. In the later iOS software versions, you don't necessarily need this a lot, But in the older versions, slightly newer but older, because this would be plugged in and it would think it was a keyboard, your keyboard within the apps would disappear, and you'd have to sort of press around on the screen to get the keyboard back up. So we added this button to basically replicate that. So if you ever lose a keyboard, when you've got switch control on, you've got your switches playing around with stuff and your keyboard's disappeared, quickly press that and your keyboard pops back up. So just some little extra features, and the iSwitch has that too, built into the buttons at the back. So you've got the extra bits in there. So yeah, you're away. I'll quickly just demo this though, because I'm really keen to show you how easy it is to set up again. So I'll do the iSwitch since it's sat right in front of me. There we go. So I've got the iSwitch set as mode U, which will mean nothing to you guys, but what it basically means to us is it's actually a dual function mode. So this is home and enter. So what this means is a longer press will take you home. Once it's set up, you don't need to set up any function within the setup, within the settings at all. You can just set it as tap or whatever you want it to do. Essentially, it's always going to be click or press or tap or enter, whatever you want to call it, because that function is set up within the iSwitch. You can amend it within the settings, but we recommend there's no real need to really, because it'll just confuse things. So if I go in here and set up the switch really quickly, you'll see how fast I'm doing it. It's actually quite simple. I go in here and I go tap, come out, and then hit switch control on. So I'll hold that down straight away and we're back home, and then you get the lasso come up. Hopefully you can see the blue lasso across the apps, and it's scrolling along because I'm in auto scan mode. So it's scanning through. And then as I go, if I want to go through, I'll hit it once and it'll move across, slowly move across the apps. And you can obviously change the timing of this and make it quicker across the apps, etc., etc. But yeah, that's as simple as it is to get going with switch control. So that's really all I've got to show you today. I'll just flip the camera back around to sort of tail off the end of this, but thank you for having me today. As I say, there's loads more options for the products that we have. There's loads more things that you can see on our website. There's loads more options within the iPad actually. Just wanted to show you the real sort of nuanced, kind of more popular versions of what we have. I hope that was useful. I hope that was really useful for you all.
Definitely. Thank you so much, John. And
No
what we're
problem.
going to do, folks, is we're going to upload this little webinar onto our YouTube page, and then add supportive training videos for all the devices that you saw here today, and maybe more that we come up with that we want to share with you. But realize that these are devices that you can explore through the Assistive Technology Reimbursement program here at Missouri Assistive Technology, to help benefit your students and to prepare for iPad access in the fall. If you have any questions, give me a call, 816-655-6709, or check us out at our website, or send me an email. Thank you so much, John. And
No problem.
I'm sure we'll do this again and introduce some more of your products to Missouri Assistive Technology. Yeah,
and if anyone's got any questions from anything I've said today, you can contact me anytime. It's just john@pretorianuk.com. All the details are on our website and our YouTube and our social media, so you can find out all the stuff on there, and all the videos you alluded to there are on our website as well, which we're happy to let you guys use on your YouTube, etc. So do have a play around and have a look if anybody's interested.
Perfect. Thanks again.
Okay, take care.